In November, Ohioans will decide if their state constitution should include protections for abortion access, something that, according to a recent poll, 58% of voters there support. It's a big number, but whether it's enough to pass will be determined by today's special election on what's known as Issue 1.
Well, today, Ohioans have been going to the polls in order to vote on H.R. 1, which is a Republican-backed ballot initiative that would make it much, much harder to amend the state's constitution. Now, an important thing to keep in mind as I give you the details of the story is to understand that this is really a proxy battle in regard to abortion rights in the state. And you'll understand why as I give you the details, okay? So since 1912, when Ohioans authorized ballot initiatives at a constitutional convention, adding an amendment has required approval by a simple majority of voters. The new referendum, what they're voting on today, would raise that threshold to 60%. So a good way of thinking about this is, in the Senate, there's that legislative filibuster where out of 100 senators, you would need 60 senators to vote in favor of the legislation in order for it to pass. And the reason why that legislative filibuster exists is to basically prevent the legislation we want from passing, okay? So that's the whole idea behind this, to just make it more difficult to amend the state's constitution. The measure would make it tougher to get amendments on the ballot, requiring petitions to gather signatures from 5% of eligible voters in each of Ohio's 88 counties instead of the current 44 counties. And so how exactly is this connected to abortion rights? Well, as you can imagine, much like other states in the country, legislatures in Ohio have been pushing to restrict abortion as much as possible. In fact, the state had passed a 6-week abortion ban, which has been placed on hold since a judge has ruled that it's too restrictive. So we'll see how that plays out. But if successful, that November amendment would effectively invalidate any laws that bar abortion before the point of fetal viability, including a state law currently on the books that would prohibit abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Even though they passed that law, I just want to reiterate again, a federal judge has put a freeze on it. And we'll see how this all plays out. So in October, a county judge did place that hold, arguing that it violates a right to an abortion that is already implicit in the state's constitution. And this measure, H.R. 1, provides that every individual has the right to make their, the measure provides that every individual has the right to make their own reproductive decisions, including on contraception and abortion, and prohibits the state from prohibiting or interfering with the voluntary exercise of this right. So just in sum, what Republicans want to do is prevent this ballot initiative from ending up on the ballot in the first place.
Yeah, so since they already have it in the Constitution, what the Democrats are trying to do is just be extra clear that abortion is definitely legal in Ohio. That's why they want to pass that ballot measure. Now, there's 3 different issues here, and that's why this election is so important. By the way, if you haven't voted yet in Ohio, go ahead and vote. And so obviously we want no vote. Anybody watching this obviously is going to vote their own conscience. But why do we want a no vote? Number one, the biggest problem here is how undemocratic this is. So there's a reason why things pass at 50%. That's the majority, right? And so they are, but Republicans all over the country, not just in Ohio, are starting to turn against ballot measures, because the ballot measures are not gerrymandered. The districts are gerrymandered so they can make them artificially lean Republican, and they do in almost all these red states and often in the purple states. So they lock up the legislatures, and it doesn't matter if they're a minority because they gerrymandered the hell out of the districts. But with ballot measures, you just need 50.1% to pass. That's actual democracy. So they despise that. So they're trying to end that in so many different places. And in this case, they're like, yeah, did we say democracy is 50%? No, we meant 60%. It's worked brilliantly in Washington, as Anna pointed out with the filibuster. It blocks all progress. And Republicans are like, yes, blocking all progress, especially if the masses are gonna vote for it. Remember, these are the guys pretending to be the populist party. No, they represent the elites and only the elites. And so number one is democracy. That's already over. Like, that's crazy. That it should lose 90-10, but of course propaganda, which we'll get into in a second. But the other two issues are abortion, obviously, as Anna pointed out. And the third one is there's going to be a ballot measure for the minimum wage coming up in the next election, $15 minimum wage in Ohio. Right now, Ohio is at $7.25. So it is brutally low. It would obviously pass. It passes in every state. It doesn't matter how red the state is, because people want to have higher wages. And so the Chamber of Commerce is furious about it, and they want to make sure you have lower wages. And guess who funds all the Republicans in Ohio? The Chamber of Commerce, of course.
No, but this story is incredible for so many different reasons, because I love that you mentioned that the Chamber of Commerce is involved, because these are moneyed interests that typically buy our politicians, and they do it on a state level, they do it on a federal level. In this case, what you'll notice by these Republican politicians, the state lawmakers, is that they have co-opted the anti-corruption rhetoric that oftentimes you'll hear on this show in order to kind of cloud the information and the reality of HR 1. So I want to give you an example. Here's one Ohio Republican, the Ohio Republican Secretary of State, during an interview months ago, trying to make it seem as though moneyed interests are the ones against this measure. Let's watch.
So yes, it's about abortion, but it's about so many other things as well.
Ohio Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose first proposed raising the threshold to 60% last year.
We don't want to see a really radical abortion amendment put in our state constitution.
But is changing the rules at this state in the game, isn't that stacking the deck?
No, not whatsoever. I mean, again, the game, as you called it, is an ongoing public conversation about public policy.
As abortion rights groups in Ohio raise funds nationally for a November vote on the amendment, LaRose says changing the state constitution should be rare and require a broader consensus.
I've been consistent all along that this is about good government. This is about protecting our state constitution from out-of-state special interests.
Out of state special interest, right. Now I want to give you another example. A summary of the argument in favor of issue 1 prepared by 2 Republican lawmakers states that a yes vote protects our Constitution from deep-pocketed out-of-state interests. By passing issue 1, the people will ensure constitutional changes are widely accepted and declare that Ohio's Constitution is not for sale. So again, they're co-opting anti-corruption rhetoric in order to make their case, when in reality, they're the ones who are corrupted. They're the ones who are bought off by the Chamber of Commerce, which of course represents the business interests that do not want to pay more than $7.25 an hour in minimum wage in the state.
Yes, and they're very concerned about out-of-state interests. That's why they refuse to take Richard Uihlein's money, who is from Illinois. Oh wait, hold on, breaking news. Graphic 6, Uihlein was also the top contributor to Protect Our Constitution, the main organization backing issue 1. He donated $4 million to the group out of the $4.85 million it raised in total. That's not the only money that they raised. They raised $25 million. In fact, nobody knows if it's yes or no is going to win today. It should be a slam dunk for no, because 58% want abortion rights in Ohio. That alone should settle it. Well over 60% want it for minimum wage. So why are we even having a discussion about this? Why is this going to be a close vote? Because $25 million buys you a lot of propaganda. And so that liar that you just saw on tape there, number one, he's like, we're trying to prevent something really radical. Really? Over 50% of the people who live in your state are gonna vote for something really radical? So by definition, it's not really radical if it's over 50%, but he's a professional liar, and in that case, the reporter let him lie about that. And then the reporter, of course, didn't bust him on the fact that, no, most of the money you got was from out-of-state interests. And you did it because, not only because you're actually the radical on abortion, only a tiny percentage of the people in Ohio agree with you, let alone in the country.
58% of Ohioans support passing an amendment to protect abortion rights. That is a clear majority, but it's not quite 60%.
Yeah, and by the way, that's not just for a bill, but that's for an amendment to the Constitution. 58% of what is now a red state, Ohio, saying that. And he's like, oh, the 58% are radical, but the my tiny percentage of people from out of state who are paying me $25 million to do this propaganda are not the radical ones. And guys, remember, for business interests, yeah, sure, they care about abortion because it keeps the Republicans, propaganda going against Democrats about how they're baby killers and all that stuff. But the main thing they care about is the economic issues, because all the ballot measures, people are saying, yes, we want higher wages, we want healthcare, we want our government to serve us. And business interests hate that idea. They didn't buy all those Republicans and half the Democrats to have democracy work. They despise democracy, and they get crooks like that to lie 24/7 on television. That's why this vote is close. Make sure you vote today in Ohio. Vote no, in my opinion. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.